Between Reps with Simone Charley.
Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of Between Reps on Fearless SC. I'm Simone Charley, forward for the Orlando Pride in the NWSL, and I'm so excited to welcome you to this first episode. And so on Between Reps, we are going to be interviewing athletes who are recovering from injuries and kind of just peeling back the layers of what that recovery process looks like. And I think for me, this just feels like a special time, a special moment, because I just think back to when I tore my second Achilles and just sitting on the couch with my cast. And I feel like at the time, I just really longed to hear stories of people not at the mountaintop, but who were in the valley, who were going through the messy middle, because I felt like for me, that was comforting. And it helped me know that I'm not alone when I'm there. And so my hope is that in this show, as we interview athletes who are recovering from injuries and in their messy middle, that whatever your messiness is, that you know you're not alone. And so, yeah, I'm really excited. And for those who are listening who are coming back from an injury, I hope you know that your career is not over. You're just between reps. Okay, so for my very first guest, I'm so excited to welcome Allie Riley. Drum roll, please. Allie is a dear friend, amazing person, and a jack of all trades. Allie was born and raised in Los Angeles, but soccer's taken her all around the world. She captains the New Zealand national team and Angel City FC. She's played for FC Rosengard in Sweden, Chelsea FC in England, and Bayern Munich in Germany before returning stateside to play for the Orlando Pride in 2020 and is now captain for Angel City in LA. She's represented New Zealand at 5 FIFA World Cups and 4 Olympic Games. In 2023, Allie led the New Zealand national team to the country's first ever World Cup win. She's a 5-time New Zealand Player of the Year and was twice nominated for the FIFA Pro World 11. Allie is also a certified health coach and published cookbook author. Welcome to Between Reps, Allie.
Wow, Simone. Oh my gosh, what an honor. What an intro. And also the first episode.
Yeah.
And now I've said it, so you can't like swap us around. So number one right here. And I'm just so proud of you. I know this is not supposed to be about you, but I just have to take my opportunity because you have been so inspirational, such an amazing teammate here and Orlando. And I think you're the perfect person to host a podcast like this because you really know what it's like. And you also ask the best questions and you're so thoughtful. And if you can trust anyone to give you life advice, it's Simone Charley. So I'm really happy to be here, and I just feel like I can be really vulnerable and honest with you. And I know that is what people out there really need to hear, because you don't always think that athletes are like that. And it's a misconception. And I think it's harmful to us because it makes us feel like we can't share when we're going through really, really hard times. And then also makes people watching us feel like they're alone if they're going through something. So I'm ready to dive straight in, Simone, because this has been the hardest time of my life for sure. I hope it's the hardest time in my life, like for the rest of my life, which would make me a very, very lucky person. But I have never had an injury, a serious injury in my career, which makes me very lucky. But when this one came, it's like, yeah, you find yourself like trying to make deals with the devil and be like, I would rather have that injury. I would do anything to not have this. So yeah, ask away. I'll tell you whatever you want to know.
Yeah, no, I want to hear it all. I know you've been going through a nerve injury, which can be complicated, tricky to diagnose and treat. Can you just kind of walk me through what happened? Was there like a particular instance, or was it just kind of like an ongoing unfolding? And yeah, what has that been like, that recovery journey?
So it is anyone who has suffered a nerve injury will identify with this. And I have had so many amazing messages. So even if you hear me saying like, you're not alone because I've gone through things you have, also know that there are hundreds and thousands of other people that I have like been engaging with who have been supporting me and also know what we are going through. Mm-hmm. And so basically, this is such a good time that we're doing this, because if you had asked me this a few months ago, my answer probably would have been different. There was a specific incident in November 2023. It was the best year of my life. Football truly brings us the highest highs and the lowest lows. And I feel like that makes us like so addicted to it. Coming off a really long year with the World Cup in New Zealand and an incredible Angel City season, I went into the last camp of the year with New Zealand and Colombia. And I do think part of this is relevant. The surface we were playing on was terrible. The grass was super long. It was dry. And I went to cross a ball, got tackled, and basically instead of my heel like slipping in the grass and landing normally, it got stuck. So I landed really aggressively in like just a hamstring stretch position, but then like kind of straight down. And I felt just burning down my leg. I couldn't walk comfortably. And that feeling stayed probably for about a month. And then slowly it got better, and we had done an MRI, didn't show anything, which made us start to realize that this was nerve related. So fast forward many, many, many months to kind of where I am now. And I think what we've been able to figure out through all of my symptoms, the length of time this has taken for me to make any progress, is that I have had, just as other people have knee or hamstring or quad or back issues, I have had hip issues for a long time, but they're kind of sneaky in that, yeah, you feel it when you do tons of crosses in a training. And I've done that, for many, many years, but otherwise you can run, you can play, and you can kind of get away with having like hip discomfort. So I have labral tears in both hips. But what has happened is that it has made me compensate in different ways with my hamstring and my glute. And I also have gotten a lot of injections to be able to continue playing. So this is like a lesson learned, a little bit of a warning. There are quick fixes. And I will say at the period I was in my career, it was 1,000% worth it. I would do it again to play in the 2023 World Cup, but it came with a very, very steep price. And the injections, the cortisone injections, the toxins I was putting into my hip, it decreased the health and kind of the functionality of certain muscles in my hip, which is always the risk when you get cortisone. And so looking back on the 5 injections I got, it just meant that my glute and my hip has like stopped functioning in the way it should, which then put pressure on my nerve, and there's just no space in that area. So when I try to use my leg, there is compression, and it is just every time my nerve gets compressed, there's just zings, lightning down my leg. And that feeling can last into the night when I'm trying to sleep. It can just, when I sit down. So that is just the kind of the nature of the beast. And coming back from this has not been straightforward, because essentially if a nerve is getting compressed, you will never feel better. So trying to find ways to create space in my hip, knowing that things can't change because of what I've done and all the years I've played. And basically my nerve will be better when I stop trying to play. And so it's this constant battle. This is a doozy to start the podcast with, because this is an injury where I may not be able to get back to a level where I can play in a game. I'm off SCI. We can talk about that. That is the biggest milestone. I never thought I would get here, but training every day and pushing my body to be able to compete with my teammates, get back on a roster. I don't know if that will happen. So I'm still in the valley, but I am like at a higher point because I can train with my team and I'm back on the team.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, this is
That's a journey. No, but seriously. And it's interesting too, hearing you just like talk about the ups and downs of it, because I definitely relate to that. It's like you get a little momentum and then it's like, oh, something else. Oh, something else. And I think too, one thing people might not realize, especially when you've been out from playing for an extended period of time, it's like you're not only coming back from your injury, but you're also coming back from not playing for that long.
Yes.
So it's like the rest of your body has to get used to like the load. And
yeah,
it's
I'm
like,
rusty as
okay.
fuck. Rusty as fuck.
And so it's just like, okay, like maybe like your nerve feels good now, but it's like, okay, well now my calf is like acting crazy.
My toe suddenly just is in agony. Don't know why, just the toe. Strained my groin last week, about a week ago. My right hip is now hurting. I also not that accurate when I'm trying to pass a ball. So it is so much. It is, challenge after challenge after challenge. And the mental side of that is almost harder than the physical side.
Yeah, no, for sure. I was going to say, you had kind of mentioned earlier you'd been taken off of SCI, and I want to know more about where you're at, like in the recovery journey physically, which I know you've kind of touched on, but especially mentally, because I know that mentally it can be a toll at times.
Yeah, I definitely went through some depression earlier this year, which I've talked about a little bit. I stepped away from the team for like about a week. I was in a lot of pain back then, and it's so funny because I told myself, if I could even run comfortably, because I want to live an active life. I want to be able to run around after kids one day. If I could just go for a run pain-free, like that's all I want. That's all I want.
Yeah.
So I was processing that, I might not be able to play soccer again, that we didn't have answers, and did a lot of work, and then was able to, I started over the rehab process. I found a new doctor, started getting different injections, no toxins, no steroids. And I was able to run again. That same day, I was like, well, I want to play soccer. Like you lose perspective in a flash. It is just, and I'm like, I knew this would happen, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be able to run, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, no, I'm going to be so grateful. Well, it was just immediate. I was like, okay, well, this isn't good enough. And so I'm glad that, I'm very open. I share everything with the trainers that I'm working with, the strength coach, mental performance coach, my physical therapist, my PT that I work, every day with. And so it's nice because they would say, Allie, remember when you said this? Like I would get the perspective back. And so then I'm able to start, I'm passing, and then I'm doing, more and more. You start with one coach, and then you kind of get closer and closer to the time of day. I'm training at like 2:00. Then you get to get closer and closer to like being around the team again. And I start training with the team maybe 3 weeks ago. And I just was so mad because so many of my passes were bad. Like I couldn't even enjoy that day. And everyone is cheering for me, and like the staff is like super emotional, and they, post this on Angel City, and so many people are sending me these messages, and I finally am like, oh my gosh, like this is a big deal and I have to celebrate this. And like, where has my perspective gone? And so, going off SCI, I had to train a few weeks with the team. And then that announcement, like I was very emotional, but I also was like, but what does this mean if I never make a roster and I never get to play in a game? And then I just thought, like, there are lots of players, healthy players, who also don't travel and who don't get playing time. Do I feel that they are any less part of this team and this club, and their value is any less? Of course not. But I can't listen or accept the same advice and feelings and feedback and praise that I give other people, I can't accept it myself. And I think that is a huge thing that we struggle with, because it's so easy to be a good teammate and tell someone who's not playing, like, you're doing amazing, and, you know, just be ready for when your time comes, and like, you're so important. But we can't listen to that when we say it to ourselves. And so it took a little bit, but I'm so happy. I love being out there with the team. And if this is kind of as far as I get, if this is like the mountaintop when it comes to this injury, I am really, really proud. And I'm really grateful for everyone who helped me get here, because I just wanted to be on the team again. I want to be a teammate. I want to contribute. If that's the end, you know, I'm okay with it. And so that's how I go into every day now, which is good, because then I hurt my groin. So, and I didn't totally break down, because I know I'll get back from this minor groin strain, and I'm on the team. Like, I'm on the team again.
Yeah. No, that's so real though, especially when you're sharing how quickly you can like lose perspective, because I definitely empathize with that. I feel like it's interesting because it's like you work so hard to like get to the end, whether that's like running again or like making it back on the field. And then it's like, it feels like that finish line, you realize, oh wait, this is just another starting line. And I feel like that's how I've felt a lot in my journey. And I even think of like in preseason, I had like just like super early stages of like training with the team. And I remember we were like doing a little fitness, like cutting, and I'm like trying to cut, and I just like had no power going through my Achilles, and I'm like so mad. And I like, after the training, I'm like walking off the field all fast, and I'm like trying to like hold into
Yes. I know that walk.
Yes. And our assistant coach was like, Simone, like, don't forget like what it was like last year. You would have given anything to run. Like, don't you forget that. And it just literally in that moment, I was like, you're right. Like, that is so true. And so, yeah, I feel like it's interesting too. I feel like you've kind of touched on some of the setbacks you've had along the way, both physically and mentally. Yeah. Can you kind of walk me through this journey? I know you're saying like having to get shots and, you're growing and things like that. What are some of those setbacks that you've had in that recovery process, and what's kind of helped you through that?
So for the first about 7 or 8 months, I trained every single day. I was doing running, like I could run 70% of like effort or max speed. Okay. And I was in the gym working so hard, and I made zero progress. Like, obviously I was getting stronger, but I could never run faster than 70%. That was maybe some of the hardest times. I was just really uncomfortable, was having trouble sleeping, and no one could help me. And sometimes it felt like nobody cared, which I know is so unfair when you are on a team and there are games to win, and everything wasn't going super well for Angel City last season. And it was hard sometimes for players to be complaining about our coach or our training session or playing time when I was like, my leg doesn't work and I am so miserable. And like, yeah, I think, and then I'm like, oh, I'm such a bad teammate for not being able to like meet them where they are. But it just felt like so much. And I would travel with the team sometimes to like, be in training or even do some of my rehab with the team, but be part of the team. And I think I got to a point too where I was suffering, and I was so turning into a shell of myself that I was still outwardly like smiling and trying to help people, but it was like, it felt like it was killing me. And I think at the end of the season, again, it was like everyone was disappointed with the season, and yeah, you kind of go your separate ways. And like, there was just hope that when I got back in January that I would be better. Like, I'm not sure why, since nothing had changed, maybe the rest would help. And so coming into a preseason with all this hope and like an interim coach, but a new coach and new players, and to start a preseason, obviously in this time, my childhood home burned down in the Palisades fire. And we got this new facility, and there was so much change and like hope for new beginnings, I guess. And I'm like, I'm still stuck here where I was when I got withdrawn from the Olympics in the end of July. And like, I'm just being left behind. And that was when I finally, I don't think I shared enough. Like, people saw me and I was smiling, and I didn't give them a chance to help me. And then I finally said, like, I am in such a bad place. So that was when I like took that break. And then now I think the hardest times have been, I think game days are really hard. There's been so many now, and you just don't feel like you're part of anything. And especially the home games, like I have so many amazing memories, and I just want to be on the field. I want to be out there so badly. And it is really, really hard to like not be able to do what you want, and what you love, but be around it so much. So those are hard, and it's gotten better, like as I've gotten closer. And then now I think these like the making mistakes in training, and now we have a new coach again, right? And like, we're learning his style of play, and everyone is trying really hard. And I, again, feel like really far behind, and he's been so understanding. The players have been amazing. The staff have been amazing. But I just, I come home some days and I just feel like, can I do this? And is it worth it? And what if this is all for nothing and I never get to play in a game? Like, those are my dark moments. And I think for me, the most important thing has been to share how I'm feeling and to open up to the people around me. Like you said, when your coach was like, Simone, like, remember how it was like a year ago? And I'm really lucky to have so many people around me like that. And they all do it in different ways and in amazing ways. Like, I don't mind if someone asks me how I'm doing. I don't mind if someone's like, you can do this. Like, I love being pumped up. I love just like people seeing me. And I think when people actually listen, when they're like, how are you? And they actually listen to the answer, helps me a lot. But I mean, I get professional help. Like, that has been key.
No, I appreciate you just sharing the honesty of that, because I feel like even just like the fact that game days are hard, like being in the stands and sitting and like watching your team play, it's like all these mixed emotions of like, oh, I'm so excited for the team. And like, I also like, it sucks sometimes. Like, you're just going to be real about it. And I feel like a lot of times it's just like you're going through this own separate journey that's like so different from the team. And one thing you said that I think is so powerful is just how you started being honest about how you feel. Because I feel like it makes me even think back to when I tore my Achilles here in Orlando. It was just like a hard time because it was my first year with the team. I didn't know anyone. I was still like rehabbing my first one. And so like I tore it right as I started full team training. And so I like pretty much had no time with the team and with the girls. And so they're all like traveling, playing games, bonding. And it's like, I'm at the clinic. And I remember just feeling so lonely and isolated. And like, I moved to this new place and I feel like I have this group of 30 women around me and I don't feel like I know any of you because I'm never around. And I feel like it wasn't until I like broke down in like a Bible study and was just like, guys, I'm so lonely. Like, please, like I feel like I don't know anyone and I feel so alone. And I feel like it wasn't until being honest about how I feel that like you realize like, no, people actually want to show up for you and like
Yeah.
people want to help you. And so I feel like you just being honest and like having that courage to be vulnerable in that way is like so powerful.
Yeah, it's not easy. Like we're programmed to be strong, more like no pain, no gain. Like you push through it. Like that is what coaches say. That is what our parents say. Like that is what we say to each other. And
Yeah.
it doesn't always work. Sometimes you need to say,
No.
I'm not okay and I can't keep pushing and I'm losing myself.
Yes, exactly. No, and I feel like that leads me to my next question. Like, in what way do you think this journey has changed you? And is there anything that you wish people understood about where you're at right now, or just what this recovery journey has looked like?
I think the past year, I mean, my life is completely different than what I expected, what I had hoped right now. And there's obviously so many good things. But yeah, I feel like I lost my safe space when the house burned down. I've always known that this was like the end of my career. And I feel so lucky to be at Angel City in LA. This is where I've dreamed of playing my entire career and to be here as I'm going through this and processing this. But I think when I got withdrawn from the Olympics and I just had this kind of identity crisis, like if I can't play, and again, it was like that this went so poorly at the Olympics and there is still nothing showing up on MRIs. We have no answers. This could be the end, you know? So that sudden realization made me cry a lot. But I also I lent on my communities. And I think this is one of the hard things going back on like being isolated. I play soccer for the community. I play soccer for the team. I used to probably play soccer more for myself and the sport. I still love the sport. I don't know how much I do for myself anymore, but I love my team and I love the players and I love being around the team. So again, being isolated was so hard and I couldn't be around the team. I couldn't be around the New Zealand team, and then doing rehab with Angel City, I wasn't around them. So I'm like, where is my community? What can I do? What is my purpose? And I just really dove into that and the response was so incredible. And I realized that sharing my vulnerability, going out into the community, whether it was with Angel City, whether it was speaking engagements, whether it was, you know, doing stuff with Sam Mewis in the women's game, just honing my skill. I've always been preparing for what is next ever since my mom was like, professional soccer is not a job. So I've always known, for better or for worse, that I would have to have another job. And so I feel like I've been preparing for my retirement since getting drafted. But it was really time to dig in and find out what gave me joy besides soccer. And the people that I have met and the experiences that I have been so fortunate to have, and the people I've connected with virtually over, you know, social media, whatever, have really, really changed me. And I feel like I can still have the same purpose that I have had for probably the last 10 years, which is bringing joy into the spaces that I'm in and bringing good energy to people, making people smile, making an impact in different communities, using my voice, all of those things that I was doing through soccer, I can still do from the sideline and from the player suite and after games and through media. And so I think my advice is, again, I'm speaking from a lens where I'm at the end of my career, but these were also things I was doing at Chelsea and in Rosengård. I started their Instagram account. Like I was making videos at Stanford for the soccer team. Like hone your skills. Like you've got to find out like what makes your cup full besides soccer, like, because anything can happen. And I'm so lucky that this has happened when I'm 37 years old. Like, the fact that this is such a horrible thing for me makes me so lucky. And so figure out like what you're passionate about. And if it is like, I just like soccer. Well, what is it about the game that you like? Where can you like dive into that more? Is it coaching? Is it analysis? Is it like, I love like technical work. I could totally do that with my teammates and watching training and being like, hey, think about this, like your first touch or like the way your hips are on a cross. Like all of that brought me so much energy and made me feel like I could still have an impact and that I could still be myself, I guess. And that is the important thing, again, to not lose yourself in an injury, because it is really easy to. And it is okay if you do, but just again, share with people that it's happening and then try to balance out like the rehab. And it's, again, this stuff takes a lot of time. There are only so many hours in the day, but if you can find time to balance all this focus on an injury and coming back or whatever your challenge you're going through, and also giving something to yourself and leaving space to really, whether it's hone a skill or just practice something else, it could be music, like whatever it is, content creation, spend time on that too. Like do the things that make you happy and it doesn't make you selfish. And yeah, it made me feel guilty sometimes. Again, saying like, I'm having a hard time watching my team, my friends play like that. I mean, I felt ashamed. I felt guilty, but no, it's such a normal feeling. Like it's such a hard thing. So yeah, just realizing that. And it is so okay to not be okay.
No, that's real. No, I feel like that's something, Allie, you've always been good at, of just like living your life outside of soccer and figuring out who you are. And I feel like even when we were on Angel City together, I feel like you were always so active in the community and just doing so many things. And like you said, preparing for life after soccer, but also just like figuring out what your passions are. And I feel like, especially when you're injured, that's like the perfect time to really discover who you are. I know
Simone, I have to also say, because when you were injured here, you got like the Community Impact Award because you went out in the community and you did that, and you inspired me so much. So I don't know if you know this, but last year I got the award and I'm like, yeah, you inspired me so much. And I did have more time than my teammates. And like a day before a game, I can go and volunteer and I can, do an appearance. And so, yeah, you really inspired me. A lot of things that you do inspire me, Simone.
No, thank you, friend. I appreciate it. That's so good to hear. And I feel like even you and all the things that you've just accomplished, and I feel like how well you've just like discovered yourself and put yourself out there and gone through and figured out your passions. I feel like for me, that's something that I've been trying to hone in on and do in this time. So you inspire me too, friend.
Here we are, podcasters.
I know.
Podcasters.
Yeah. I know one thing you had touched on was the Olympics. And just, not being a part of it. Going into that, like going into training camp, I imagine like the Olympics was something circled on your calendar that you had been like preparing for. I remember seeing the videos of like the haka and how powerful that was. Was not playing like even a consideration going into it, or did it just catch you by surprise? Like what was that experience?
So no, I never considered that my injury would take this turn that wouldn't even allow me to, I was in team training, but my coach felt like it was a risk for me to be taking up a spot in case it got worse or I wasn't able to perform. And that was really hard. Like I felt that if there was a chance that I could play or I could be an alternate, because the rules were you could switch people in and out, that I don't know if I felt like maybe I deserved to have that. Of course, I wanted to have that. So when it was like, no, we are removing you from the team completely, that was a big surprise to me. And it really, really hurt me. But going into it, I hadn't been able to play for Angel City. I'd been doing these injections. I went away with the national team, which I obviously felt like I had to be able to be available for the Olympics. Kind of got a re-injury. And again, knowing what I was doing, looking back on it, putting this medicine in, but not actually fixing anything, it was not surprising that I kind of was re-injuring it, or that the nerve would get so upset. And so I went and played in May for the national team, re-injured it, came back, rehabbing, but I was training, I was feeling good, and I made the squad. And then I had time between, the squad announcement to our actual departure. And I remember the game where my last game before leaving, I was able to sprint. I was out on the field doing a training session at halftime because I wasn't going to play in the game. And then, yes, the celebration of the player of leaving and that I was going to the Olympics, and Angel City did this amazing thing with this group that did the haka and honored me. And yeah, going into it, I was so excited. We played a game against Zambia just right before. And I, again, was probably like about 70, 80%, but there was like still a couple of weeks left. And then I was just running. I was just running at a training. I felt really good that training. I had done a couple slide tackles, didn't feel anything, and I was just running. And I thought I tore my hamstring. And that is kind of that feeling, and what the nerve kind of my leg put on the brakes and said, "You're not doing this anymore." Again, it left me at this kind of like 70%. Now in hindsight, I know like I wasn't able to progress from there for months and months and months. But at the time I thought that, I could get better. And so again, the MRI showed nothing. And the coach, I was still in team training after the feeling got a little bit better. And he just, made this decision. And it was the worst thing I felt like I could ever experience. Again, I realize how silly that is given like how amazing life is, and we're talking about an Olympic Games. But at the time, just how I felt, it was just, it was horrible. I was really ashamed, again, of everything, like all of the medical team, everything they had done for me, all of the treatments, how I felt like I sacrificed, Angel City trainings to go away with the national team just to get injured again. Even like the send off, it was really hard for me to think about that until recently, because I'm like, that's so embarrassing that this whole thing was done for me and that I couldn't even play. And so I think working through that and accepting the love and support and accepting like I made the team, like I did everything, I made the team, and this is just such an unlucky shit injury. It could happen, an injury could happen to anyone. And so, and also just the disappointment I felt in like the decision and how hard that was. Again, now to be safe, like I haven't been able to play in a game since. So I understand what my body really was going through, but it was really hard. I went to the games. It was amazing seeing the team play. The girls honored me with a haka, which was so kind and so thoughtful, to just recognize kind of being part of a team and that I was really suffering. But I had this amazing experience going to Paris, and, people took pity on me, gave me tickets so I could go to gymnastics and rugby, and had a really nice time with my family. And because of my injury, I hadn't taken a break from exercising, rehab, being miserable basically for months and months and months, a year, and my parents and Lucas and I were able to have basically like a week vacation in Paris, watch the Ferns play. And then I started this journey, this process of coming back in August. But that's probably the hardest thing I've ever been through, just the disappointment and feeling really, really guilty, and really embarrassed, which is, I would never feel that way about somebody else if it happened to them, but I had to really go in there and figure out like why I felt that way, and also accept that nobody was like sad or felt bad that they had helped me get to that point. And I'm still like really proud of myself for making the team and like everything I did. And like, I've done everything possible to come back. And like, that is all you can do. Like, sometimes you don't come back. Like, sometimes, of course, Sam Mewis has been such an amazing source of support for me. And even talking to Rapinoe, and she was like at the end, like it just was so painful and so hard even to like get on the field, you know, and we all stop. We all have to stop at some point, you know, for different reasons. But I think it's not always like the ending you want. And that's sports. That's like, it's a high risk, high reward occupation, I think. And yeah, I think I just have had to do a lot of processing and a lot of acceptance of myself and acceptance of the support and the love that I've received. And just, you know, you can only focus on what you can control and like do your best. Like, I'm just doing my best to come back. That's all I can do.
No, I appreciate you sharing that. It's interesting too, when you're talking about how like you felt guilty and shame and all of that, but like if you were on the other side, like they would be so happy to help you. And I feel like that's just a testament to somehow it's like hard to give ourselves the grace that we like extend to other people. And so for my final question, I'm curious of like how you've learned to give yourself grace and what has that looked like in this journey? Because I feel like coming back from injury, it's so easy to be hard on yourself and should yourself a lot. Like, I should have done this, should have done this, or I wish this would have happened. What has giving yourself grace looked like? And has that been something you've been able to do? Are you still learning? What has that process been like for you?
It's been really hard, and it's not something that I maybe felt like, or I realized I didn't have the tools to do. And so Sabrina, she is our mental performance coach with Angel City, and she just talked me through so much. She also legitimized my feelings. Like, I feel like, especially with this injury, it's like, oh, it's all in your head, you know, or like, it's just the nerve. It's just, and I'm like, this pain, it takes your breath away, but you feel again, like, am I not strong enough for not being able to just like, it's just in here. Like, it's just the nervous system. There's nothing wrong with your hamstring. There's nothing wrong with your back. There's nothing wrong. Like, obviously then my doctors that I work with now and my PTs now and Sabrina, like, I have this team that have really been able to explain this and support me in the way that I needed. But at first it wasn't like that. And there's still people who are like, okay, so if you just can like tell yourself it's just like the nerve, like, can't you just push through it? It's kind of a harmful thing, I think. And so Sabrina, everything from like, you know, when you miss a pass, you've missed passes before. Everyone missed passes. Like, what is it that happens in your head to make you feel like you aren't worth anything, or like you shouldn't be out there, and like you're never going to come back? Like, and just talking through those feelings. And I think looking at the good things, she's like, did you connect a pass today? And I'm like, yeah, of course. I connected a lot of passes. Like, just to get out of that kind of spiral really, really has helped me. And she's like, why don't you watch training and look at all the things you did right? I think that would really help you. And then I think reminding myself of like how I would speak to a teammate and how I would love my teammate and give them like grace and encourage them to have patience. Like, I still try to have that messaging with myself, of course. And then something that I've always done but was harder to do when I felt so sad is just like practicing gratitude. And I think with this, again, this is so specific to where I am in my career, but I'm so grateful for every single day that I was able to have this profession. Like, it was not a given in the time that I was drafted. And when the league folded in 2012, that I'd be back here, like being at Angel City, for the years I have, like the experiences, the games that I have played, the World Cup in New Zealand, the other World Cups and Olympics that I've played, like it's an injury. Like it is an injury from overuse. It is an injury from doing what I loved. Like how lucky am I? And to have my parents here that we're all together, that yes, we lost the house, but they're okay. We were able to save so many things and they're going to rebuild. And I have this amazing husband. We got married in the middle of all this. I did IVF twice in the middle of all this. So we have embryos waiting for like the next phase, the next chapter of our lives. Like I mean, you can see like when I think of these things, I am so happy, and it helps me give myself grace for a missed pass or, you know, missing training this week, because man, I've had it good and I have such an amazing life. I am talking to an amazing person on this podcast, sharing my experience to help other people. Like it's been a great ride, you know? And so for me, it's been really long. For some people, it's too short. But I think if you think about, how good we have it, especially too, if you have support, if you hone some of your crafts because you have to do something, if you can't no longer play, I'm excited for what's next. And I am just so grateful to be on the field with my teammates and to laugh with them and to know what's going on. Like when they talk about something, again, I'm not on the away trip, so I miss some of that. I get FOMO, but, and to get to know the players who are here, who don't travel, who are also injured, and spend time with them. And those are relationships that I might not have had. So all of that, it just helps me breathe, you know, and find myself again.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you sharing that. I feel like definitely with injuries come perspective of just like how good we do have it. Because I feel like, I mean, honestly, the best things in life are free. Like you have your family, you have a husband that loves you, you have just so many great things going on in your life. And I feel like if you're able to keep your eyes on that, you realize like that's what's actually important. But I also know that can be hard to do with the ups and downs. So yeah, Allie, I just like really appreciate your vulnerability and like willingness to just share the journey. Cause I feel like that's going to help so many people. Cause I think people need to hear the ups, the downs, how it can be beautiful and ugly all at the same time. I want to thank you for your time, and also wanted to give you an opportunity to plug anything if you want. I know obviously BFFR and all the things. So let us know what we should be tuning into.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Simone. For like half of this, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to cry, but, yeah, you got me. Thank you for having me. And I probably talked way too much, but I think I wanted to add one thing before I do my shameless plugs. And that is, I think checking in with people, I guess this is advice, or if you're injured and you need to tell people this, or advice for people listening and want to support someone who's going through an injury or a challenge. I think asking like for timelines can sometimes be a little bit hard for us because there may not be a timeline, or if we get a setback and someone's like, oh, you're going to be fine in 2 weeks. And then I'm like, they're telling other people that. And then you're like, oh, actually now I've had it. Like, so sometimes that is like something to be sensitive of. And then also for me with like a really serious injury, I think the like, I love when people are like, I can't wait to see you back on the field. But I also feel like I'm going to really it's like another person I might disappoint if like I don't get back on the field. And so it's like, I think language just in being like, oh my gosh, I'm there for you. And like, I don't even know what the right thing to say is, but sometimes like when you're really in the middle of it and you don't know what the outcome is going to be, I don't really know how to respond when people are like, I'm so excited, or like, when are you going to play? Like, I think that can be really hard. But I know everyone means so well. On that note, definitely listen to BFFR. Sid and I, who both have had a tough go this year, we have our Totally Unhinged podcast. We talk about our injuries. We talk about life. We talk about, our relationships and just the ups and downs of being a soccer player and a woman and a person. And so that has been such an amazing outlet for me to have a podcast, make money, talk about all the things, be super, super honest. And I feel like it has helped me find balance and also helped me find a community who just, the messages we get, you can like call the hotline, leave us a message. People are so supportive. We love our like unhinged followers. So that has been amazing. So after you listen to all of Simone's episodes, you can hear me cry more on the BFFR show at BFFR show.
No. Well, thank you, Allie, for your time. This has been amazing. And I also kind of, before I let you go, just encourage you. I feel like even just hearing you talk about when people are trying to say like, oh, I'm excited to see you and play and all of that. I think I relate to that. And I think a lot of what I'm hearing is like the best thing you can do is just be in the present with the person and be with them when they're struggling and not forcing them to the end, because sometimes it's really hard to see. And so, yeah, Allie, I'm just like really grateful for you and taking the time to share your story. So many people are going to be helped by this. And I just really appreciate your vulnerability while you're in the middle of it, because that's where the real things happen. So thank you.
Thank you, Simone. You're the best.
And thank you everyone for listening to Between Reps on Fearless SC. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube and social media at We Are Fearless SC.
You've been listening to Fearless SC. Find us on your favorite podcast platform, on YouTube, and across social media at We Are Fearless SC.